today's business landscape, the biggest question isn't how fast you can grow. It's how well can you build the capabilities to sustain that growth. Mid-sized businesses and startups, especially in India, face some tough challenges. They're agile enough to move quickly, but often struggle to scale beyond borders. They're full of energy and ideas, but capability gaps in leadership, culture, and execution hold them back. And while the global market is full of opportunity, the reality is that transformation isn't easy. Resistance, lack of systems, and the pressure to deliver short-term results often slow it down. That's why this conversation is so important. We're exploring the real challenges of capability development and transformation. Why do businesses get stuck despite talent and resources? How do cultural and regional differences make scaling harder? And most importantly, how can leaders turn these challenges into growth opportunities? This is not just about theory. It's about the lived struggles of companies trying to grow and what it takes to overcome them. So let's dive into the podcast and uncover how organizations can break through these barriers. Welcome to Capability Catalysts, a podcast where we decode the intersection of people, performance, and global growth. I'm your host, Roshan Jha, and today we have two powerhouses in the field of business acceleration and human capability. Joining us is Anirban Banerjee, Group VP, Global HR, columnist, and a mentor to both German and Israeli startups entering the Indian market. He has spent over 2 decades designing capability development strategies for MNCs, conglomerates, and startups alike. And from Germany, we have Hans-Harry Bittner, founder of BIT Future and a leadership visionary who has worked with global brands like BMW, Schaeffler, and Ford, helping organizations align leadership vitality with business transformation. Together, we'll explore how capability development and transformation initiatives can accelerate businesses, especially for mid-sized firms and startups in India, and how global perspectives can shape sustainable growth in competitive markets. Let's dive in. Great. So welcome, Harry. Welcome, Anirban. Thank you for joining us for another podcast.
Thanks. Pleasure being with you.
Thank you, Anirban.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate that you invite me, and I'm looking forward to a wonderful talk about these important topics you proposed.
Right, and it's absolutely a pleasure to have you with us, Hans. Great. So the question is to the both of you, what is the true meaning of capability development in 2025? Is it just skills and training, or is it about building systemic organizational capacity? Whoever would like to go first.
Harry, you can go first.
I can start. Okay. Yes, I will love to start. Yes, of course, you need skills for this, and you need all the personal aspects as well. But to make a transition working and to find the right gearbox for the gears, then you must find the right way and the room for building a team with the same spirit, with the same purpose. So I think you cannot separate the skill building from transition processes, and for that reason the team development process, the same mindset and the responsibility of the people is really hardcore, I would say, a core quality of successful companies.
Interesting perspective there. What's your take on it, Anirban?
I completely agree with what Harry said, that capability development and transformation are very integrated. And the reason for this, I believe that transformation is the journey.
Right.
And capability is the fuel which kind of drives that journey. Capability builds all the foundational tools and resources which are needed to kind of for an organization to transform.
Right.
Whether you talk about in the current contemporary context, whether you talk about AI, or whether you want to build capacity of business,
right,
or even a lot of businesses that even Harry has worked with, they are family driven businesses. So the generational shift that when that has to be brought about, leadership change, so they are very, very integrated. Right. So transformation as a journey can become much more easy and fulfilling if you have the capability aspect rightly done as a fuel to that growth.
Absolutely. So what I gain from this is it's a 360 development from a capability building perspective, not just an isolated incident for a particular department of an organization. It's
Correct.
a 360 perspective.
Absolutely.
Interesting. Anirban, my question is for you. India has a young workforce and a vibrant startup scene. Where are the biggest capability gaps holding back mid-sized businesses from scaling globally?
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, it's a fact that we have not been able to build a global brand. If you kind of, except for few exceptions, we have not been able to kind of create that kind of impact in the market.
Right.
In the technology space, if you see, we are not into something which is significantly into research and development.
Right.
We are more into outsourcing and kind of helping the works that has come from countries like North America and
Right.
Europe, that we are kind of helping them out on. Currently, we have scaled a little bit more onto the GCCs, the Global Capability Centers, which are moving in, but nothing very significant on that.
Right.
Ideally, this should have happened actually. India should have been with a billion plus population, and as you mentioned, that we have many good universities. But what is lacking in terms of you said that we have to go a little deeper into it. Our education system, unfortunately, has completely failed, I would say, to develop an orientation which is in holistic growth.
Okay.
I was talking to Harry the other day, and he said something very significant, that schools in Germany are now asking students to keep their smartphone aside during the hours in school.
Right.
And they're encouraging conversations. Now, if you look at 20 years back, because this kind of things take time to evolve, what you said, that how do we kind of become a significant global partner to countries like Germany or North America.
Right.
Our schooling system gave a huge emphasis on reading what is written in the book and reproducing that.
Right.
So by the time the students came into the corporate sector or in the real life,
That's exactly.
they expected instructions to be given and instructions to be followed. They never developed a culture of questioning things, and they research and academic thing. See, you can manufacture something which you have it's your original idea, you have kind of designed, developed it. So there is a team that manufactures it. So manufacturing since the 80s moved to China because China could better replicate what the Western world was designing. The areas that we had strength in, over a period of time it got diminished, and I feel that our education system has a lot to do with. In fact, two important statistics, if you see, just last month Business Standard published a very detailed report, and it was done by Mercer, and according to them 45% of our management graduates need huge amount of training to be able to be put into the corporate sector. The situation is even worse when it comes to the engineering and technology sector.
Right.
And now that on the top of it, you have AI coming in too, and where the workforce, close to 70% of them has to be reskilled. So this is a huge challenge, and this is something that needs to be talked about more openly, so that people do not have any inhibition and fear. Because right now the fear of losing the job and the skill gap, as you rightly pointed out, having grown beyond a point, not being addressed, has led to much more complexities, and that is impacting the transformation part of it as well.
Absolutely. So what you're speaking is of where the issue lies at the source.
Yeah.
Right. So we have that complete life cycle. So the source is also the issue, but there are progresses that have happened post that as well. So for the existing businesses, what is your advice or suggestion to them if they want to scale globally from that perspective? So Anirban, what you mentioned of is you spoke very beautifully about the source where the issue lies, and that's how everything has laid out. But what would your advice be for currently the mid-sized organizations, if they're looking to scale globally? How should they go about doing that given the constraints that we have on hand?
I believe that there is a huge opportunity when you say the Indian context, the MSMEs or the mid-sized organizations or organizations which in the last 10 to 15 years have come to a certain amount of stability now. Right. And that's when they should be able to grow. So 2-3 things are very important for them. First is how do you kind of interact with a larger talent market, and I think this is a huge gap area. Right. People see the entire hiring process as very transactional, that just getting some people on board. Right. And that's where the failure starts. I'll tell you something very interesting. Majority of the startups in India have failed because of people issues rather than the only other issue that they have failed is because the product probably did not fit into the market properly. Right. But that has not been a very, very big issue. But the bigger issue is that whether they have been able to get the right people and whether they have been able to scale them, because building an organization is all about scaling people and their mindset and what they can possibly do for you.
Interesting.
So, whether you talk about the way nobody comes as a ready resource in an organization. Right. So the kind of grooming and the space that you are able to provide them to kind of monitor them and to kind of make sure that they develop their abilities around what they have to perform. Their domain skills is a very important part, but apart from that, their behavioral issues, the issues that has to do with managing resources, if he is a manager, right, how he should be able to manage the things. And a very important thing which I feel is lacking is how do you project the people of the organization outside? This is something that gets missed. Right. If you see, when you do business, the first impression is the entrepreneur himself. Right. The second very significant thing is the people in your team. If there is an instability over there, and right, if the people see that they are not trustworthy or they are not talking professionally, I'm giving very, very simplistic example for the masses to kind of, then there is a trust deficit. And in business, the trust and perception is the biggest currency that if you have, your business keeps rolling, cash keeps flowing. Otherwise, over a period of time, it catches up with you.
Right. Very true. Very true. Interesting. Hans, my next question is for you. Now, you've worked with legacy European firms and startups as well. When you hear capability development, where do companies usually misunderstand or underinvest?
Yes, the startup phase where a young person or some inventing personality just starts up a company idea. That's the most powerful moment you have. But when you're left alone there on top of the organization and you're not connected to people that follow you and that love your idea and see it as their own idea, then you are lost somewhere and you got into the state of a burnout someday, or you get lost your motivation on the way, or you just, some people really make suicide then, to say this was a bad idea, I failed, I have no money anymore, no investor is interested at all. So I just go back to a company and get my monthly salary, and then I get rid of all the problems I have as an entrepreneur, as a founder of a new idea and company. So this is very characteristic for some companies. If you want to continue, you must find an environment with people who support you, not only being let's say the servant of you, but being a high-class membership of the whole leadership team. So if you're CEO, on top of the organization, you are responsible for the people development completely. You cannot delegate that to an HR person, to chief HR organization boss or someone. You must be responsible, standing and credible on top of the organization and see the whole thing. That is so important. It's a big burden on some people's shoulders because they are experts in their field. They are data experts, perhaps marketing specialists or product specialists, but they very often don't see the organizational perspective. So that's the biggest step they have to make, to see this as an organization and it's part of my body that I lead there. And if the hand is not working, we must start an open process of communication and putting all the negative things on the table at the beginning of a meeting. And as you probably know, this is not very familiar for some cultures to speak open about failures, mistakes, the elephant in the room. Especially in China, I observed this. They don't want to lose their face. They want to have their peer groups and their secret circles, so they don't speak up in the public about problems and mistakes. But that's the important part of the recipe. Yes, critics is very important, and you must be open to critics and enjoy it to make the next step forward, learning from the failures that you have there.
Right. Great answer. Thank you for sharing that with us, Hans.
In fact,
Thanks for the question.
In fact, I feel that he brought out a very significant fact. You asked about the organizations,
Right.
about the transformation and MSMEs, that how do they scale up, reach out the market.
Right.
I believe that one of the biggest gaps currently is how the entrepreneur sees his own role in the organization. And Harry mentioned that, outsourcing everything to an HR person to kind of manage the people, it has a limited effectiveness.
Right. True.
The biggest thing that needs to be done is that the entrepreneur must have very good people skill. And I think this is a very, very important thing. Organizations which succeed, they have at the top the man who drives. The culture is top down.
True.
So therefore, the HR is then more empowered to build that people-centric culture. As he pointed out, that China, you see in 2019-20, this 996 formula came. That is working
Right.
for more than 10 hours and 6 days a week. That's the abbreviation now.
Right.
And a lot of it started with Alibaba, and then a lot of organizations picked that up, and that is how this entire narrative of that increasing the number of hours kind of came into play.
Right.
Over a period of time, it is now known that the Chinese legal bodies, the courts, have also struck down that. Now, why? Because it is very, very good to work when you are at a certain stage of business more than 9 to 10 hours, because you need to do that.
Right.
But if you are thinking that as a formula for your organization to be a permanent feature in your organization, then you are actually draining your organization out. You will have a very high rate of attrition, a lot of health issues. It is neither good for the economy, as pointed out by the World Health Organization in its recent report,
Right.
and from the economic point of view. So we need to be very conscious about that as an industry, as a society, how we are trying to make the best of our younger generation.
True. Interesting. Well, thank you so much.
Mhm.